In Putnam County tonight, earlier today, the sheriff's office and county code enforcement evicted more than 20 convicted sex offenders and predators from the mobile home park they live in. That park is located at the corner of Balsam Street and Norwood Street in unincorporated Palatka. As News4Jax reporter Eric Avignon explains, the mobile home park's owner believes the evictions have less to do with building codes and more to do with neighbors who complain about living next to convicted sex offenders.
This is the mobile home park in unincorporated Palatka that sparked outrage among neighbors. It's called CCM Park. Many neighbors say they didn't feel comfortable living next to a place that was set up as a sanctuary for convicted sex offenders and child predators.
They're different people. You know, they're pedophiles. And I'm concerned about my grandkids, really.
Very uncomfortable with that. We got kids, we got a little girl, got a little boy, another little boy on the way, so we don't want to live that close to so many at once.
After receiving complaints about the property, including threats from neighbors who seemed willing to take matters into their own hands, Putnam County deputies, state parole and probation officers, and the county code enforcement showed up Friday morning to find out how this became what's been described as an under-the-radar sanctuary for sex offenders.
We were able to determine that sometime back in December, a company that we believe is based out of Volusia County actually acquired this trailer park and was trying to make it a sanctuary for sexual offenders and predators.
Investigators say they discovered more than 20 offenders and predators were living here. There are 14 trailers on the property. All but 3 were condemned by code enforcement. What are they condemned for?
A whole litany of code violations. You know, these are old mobile homes from the 60s and 70s. They've had modifications made to them, unpermitted work.
This means tenants are now forced to pack up and leave. The owner of this property says she will do whatever it takes to get this property up to code. She also says that she feels that this is less about code enforcement and a lot about people who simply don't want to live right next door to convicted sex offenders and child predators.
They are registered. The sheriffs have known they're there since the day each one of them moved in. It's not been a secret. Everyone is absolutely legally compliant with everything they have to do with their probation. There was a few things that were done that did not have permits. I spoke to the building department about it, and they're going to allow us to correct those issues.
She went on to say that once code issues are corrected, she believes her tenants should be allowed to resume living on the property.
Well, last Friday, Putnam County Sheriff Gator DeLoach condemned nearly an entire trailer park in Palatka and called it a cesspool of sex offenders. According to the sheriff's office, more than 22 convicted sex offenders and predators lived on the property, and 11 out of the 14 trailers have been condemned. Our Christina Burgess was in Palatka today, speaking with some of the sex offenders who are still living there. The others have been relocated to property near the jail.
In the tents you see behind me are currently 6 sex offenders from CCM Park who have been in these tents since Friday. They're currently on the property of the Putnam County Sheriff's Office, where they are monitored by an officer who they check in and out with daily. I spoke with many offenders from CCM Park today who tell me that they are in fear of their life and are wanting to be treated humanely.
All they gave us was a generator, 2 porta potties.
Now I'm 77 years old and I'm having to live on the ground.
Thomas Turner is one of the many sex offenders who was kicked out of CCM Park by the Putnam County deputies last Friday due to code violations and permit issues. For the last 4 days, he, along with other offenders, have been living in these tents right by the Putnam County Jail. While on the property, they are working with probation officers and wearing their ankle monitors.
For them to put us out here like this is cruel and unusual punishment, because we already served our crimes, all of us. We already did our time. All we want to do is live in peace.
A current living situation that alarms the landlord of CCM Park, Julie Martin.
You know, my biggest concern is that my tenants are safe, and I don't feel like they are in tents.
While some of the sex offenders remain here in tents, others were able to remain in the 3 trailers on the property that haven't been condemned, but they say they now are living in fear.
I'm afraid to leave out this gate that's behind me every morning. Anytime I go anywhere, when I go to work, I feel like something's going to happen to me.
Like I said, it's a target on our backs now, so it's just like we just got to stay prayed up and you know, stick together like we all do out here.
According to the Putnam County Sheriff's Office, 90% of the offenders at the park came from outside of Putnam County. The Putnam County Sheriff's Office says some offenders who resided here went back to where they came from, found alternate housing, and others will reside on the property of the Sheriff's Office for a few more days. They must notify the Sheriff's Office if they're staying in the county or relocating to stay compliant with their registration. And as for the offenders in the tents behind me here on the Putnam County Sheriff's Office property, they have until Friday to find their new living arrangement.
Good afternoon, Putnam County residents and friends. I'm your Sheriff, Gator DeLoach, and we're coming to you live on Facebook here at 3600 Balsam Street, CCM Park. We heard your cries. We heard your screams on social media. We appreciate everything that everyone has done to share information with us about this cesspool of sex offenders here behind us. So what is behind me now is a trailer park that was acquired, we believe, sometime in December by an unscrupulous person who lives outside of the jurisdictional confines of our county that essentially has converted this trailer park, this piece of property right over my shoulder, into a predator's paradise, or I can only assume this stands for perhaps convicted child molester park. We're ridding this neighborhood of this problem. This has a very personal connection to me and hits home because my grandfather actually lived less than a mile from this community, just in the back here over towards my right. And I spent a significant amount of my childhood time in this neighborhood. Like I said, we heard your cries. We heard your pleas for help, and we've came and we've answered that call. As of now, we've enlisted assistance from our Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigations Bureau, patrol deputies, our sex offender compliance folks, probation and parole, and Putnam County Codes Enforcement, as well as the Health Department, as a holistic approach to rid ourselves of this nuisance. On my worst day and a cold day in hell, would I ever allow Putnam County to become a predator's paradise? We won't stand for this garbage. There was 14 trailers here. As of now, all but 3 are condemned. We're going to continue to aggressively pursue codes violations on those with assistance from County Codes Enforcement. I can't thank them enough for all the work that they've done here today. But here's the backstory. There were over 22 convicted sex offenders and predators residing in this neighborhood right over my right shoulder. Not in Putnam County, and over my dead body are we ever going to allow Putnam County to become a sanctuary for these types of individuals. Again, I want to thank everyone who was involved here today. This operation is effectively shut down. There may be a few people in and out transiently, but all the houses have been condemned, which means that no one is allowed inside of them unless they're doing work. What we found here today was unlicensed contracting that was going on, raw open sewage, and again, just a cesspool of sex offenders residing in this neighborhood around an area where children are concentrated. There's a volunteer fire department directly up the road from us that has an Explorers program where youth participate there and are present all the time. There's a bus stop right around the corner from us. Not on my worst day, like I said, not on a cold day in hell are we going to allow this. We're here to serve you. We're here to keep you safe. Thank you for listening, and thank you for having our backs and supporting us. Have a great weekend.
Well, the sex offender registry is available to the public at all times through the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So here's how to access it, starting with the web version. First, when you go to your browser, you want to search for FDLE. And the first tab that pops up will be the one you want to go to. That's the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's website, their homepage. Once you're on this homepage, you can click on the sex offender database. That is the third picture on this page. Tap on that, and it will take you to this page, the Sexual Offenders and Predators Search. Now, you can search by first and last name you see here on the left, or you can search by neighborhood. So let's use the neighborhood search just for this example. And in here, you type your address. We're using Channel 4's address for Broadcast Place, City, Jacksonville, the zip code 32207. Then in the radius column, select what range you want to see. For this example, we're going to use 1 mile, but you can choose between 1/4 of a mile all the way up to a 5-mile radius. So Once you click on search, it'll take you to a map, and this map pops up with locations of every known sex offender and predator in your area. You can see the radius here. Now, once you scroll down on this page, you'll see a comprehensive list of those who live in your area and their photos, and this can help you plan your trick-or-treating route next month. But if you forget to check the FDLE's website ahead of time, there's the mobile app. Here's how this works. First, search FDLE in your phone's app store and download the free app. Next, you want to open the app and accept the terms and conditions. That'll take you to this homepage. Then, select the Sexual Offenders and Predators tab that's on the top left. In this section, you can see the Offender Search on the middle left and the Neighborhood Search on the bottom left. These work the same way as the website. You can also choose Registered Near Me on the top left corner. Once you click that tab, it'll ask you if the FDLE app can use your current location. So you want to press OK, and then it'll take you to the same map we showed you just a minute ago based on your current location.
Where do they go from here?
Here's the reality. Putnam County is not a sanctuary for sex offenders. We're not going to turn this into a predator's paradise. On my worst day or on a cold day in hell would I ever allow that to happen.
Hell of an episode. So what do you guys think? Is this sheriff well in his rights to come evict a whole trailer park of sex offenders? I mean, the property was purchased legally. But let's be real. We can't have a trailer park full of sexual offenders living right in the neighborhood where kids are. So to me, yeah, they was well in their rights to go bust that trailer park up full of sexual deviants. But that concludes tonight's episode. Let us know what you think. Was the sheriff's office wrong or right for what they did? Leave a comment below. And until next time, I'm your host, Gracious Marlowe.
Thank you for watching Prime Crime Network, your source for urban and suburban and around the world news. Hit the subscribe, like, and the notification bell